I am a critic, I am a critic, I am a critic, I am a critic, I am a critic.
What's up, opinionators? I am the IMO Critic, and it is time for me to review what is new for you. Oh, I've been waiting so damn long to say this one. Uncharted 4, A Thief's End. Wow, where do I start with this game? Okay, first of all, this is a spoiler-free review, so if you are only partway through Uncharted, or if you haven't started playing it yet, or if you just all-round don't know anything about Uncharted 4, do not worry, you are safe. This is just a spoiler-free review. We are all friends here. So Uncharted 4, A Thief's End is the fourth entry in the Uncharted franchise by game developer Naughty Dog, and oh my god, let's just say Uncharted is known for its quality. With Uncharted 1, you got this revolutionary style of mocap storytelling in video games. With Uncharted 2, you got deeper characters, better relationships, darker tone, better villain, longer story. With Uncharted 3, it was all the same, amped up to 11. And all three of those games set this amazing standard for high-octane, explosive, blockbuster action. And with Uncharted 4, A Thief's End, they kind of stepped it back a little bit. After Uncharted 3 came out, Naughty Dog released a game called The Last of Us. This game was absolutely fantastic. It was a post-apocalyptic survival kind of game, and after they realised how subtle they could get their storytelling on a PS3, the PS4 came along and they knew with Uncharted 4 they wanted to go down that same road. And I'm really glad they did. Everything is extremely subtle in this game. It's a lot more based on how movies are made, and that's great because Uncharted was always trying to mimic the classic kind of adventure genre movies. But now, of course, they've got the real acting chops to show because the graphics are just so damn good. So Uncharted 4 finds Nathan Drake retired from fortune hunting after the extensive work he had to go through in Uncharted 3, but unfortunately a major player from Nathan Drake's deep past is about to come back and drag him right back into the world of treasure hunting, and of course, as you might predict, if you know about Uncharted, all hell breaks loose. And as always, I'm going to start this review with the first and foremost positives. This entire game. Okay, I have to start somewhere. My first and foremost positive of this game is the story. I absolutely loved the story for Uncharted 4, A Thief's End. Everything about the character development is so naturally progressed from Uncharted 3. If anyone has played right through from Uncharted 1 to 3, you know how attached you get to the main characters of Nathan Drake, Elena Fisher, Victor Sullivan. They're just such a primary part of the story, and they're such great, well-rounded, deep characters that you just love them. The way they reintroduce Nathan back into treasure hunting is natural. Nathan Drake's character has progressed, he's evolved, he has a new outlook on life, and of course his relationship with Elena is so solid now. And now that he's being reintroduced into treasure hunting, that relationship is tested. There's a real character development that you don't see much in the other games. While it's fantastic development, this is a real character drama. Because the other three games are fantastic action movies. You know, you get the great characters, the likeable characters with the quips and the jokes and all of that fun stuff. But in A Thief's End, we get Nathan Drake truly mentally challenged. Like, he is really having trouble deciding what he wants to do, what decisions he has to make, where does he go, how does he resolve everything. It's all beautifully told throughout this entire story. All the old characters, Elena, Sully, they're so beautifully realised, and they've progressed too. They have all clearly had years go by. Sully's older and wiser, you know, as wise as he wants to be. Elena is considerably wiser, she's much more mature, she's settled down with Nathan, and she is the voice of reason for a lot of it. But the great thing about Nathan is that he's kind of become this voice of reason as well, and in the situations that he's in, he's the sensible one. He's the one who is now looking at it from the outside perspective of, okay, I've been obsessed with treasure, I have made the mistakes of hunting treasure and getting really obsessed by it, so he knows the dangers and he knows about every single thing that can go wrong, so when he's going through it, he's just like, ugh, I warned people, I knew this would happen, this is really bad. It's just beautiful character development from start to finish, and all the new characters are fantastic as well. The villainous duo of Rafe and Nadine are so well developed. Nadine is this monster ass kicker. It's not a spoiler, seriously. She's a villain and she's an ass kicker. She whoops Nathan's ass at several points in this game, and my god, she's efficient. She also takes charge. She's a great strategist, great leader by example, and on top of that, she's this like super martial artist. And it's awesome to see someone who can physically challenge Nathan, especially someone on the opposite sex, because the only other female villain we've had in the Uncharted trilogy was this very old, devious woman. But this time we're getting a woman who can whoop his ass! But Rafe is a really interesting character because he's not only kinda mentally unstable, but he kind of deteriorates over the game. Like, he just gets crazier, 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 and by the end, I'm not going to spoil it, but by God, by the end, he's a scary dude. But either way, all the characters have a beautiful amount of time, and the best thing about the characters in this game is that they really help with the next big positive of this game. I have absolutely no problem in saying that Uncharted 4: A Thief's End has easily got the best pacing of any of the Uncharted games. Okay, for all the guys who are about to punch the screen and go, Uncharted 2! Uncharted 2 is a very close second. One of the main things that assists this is the fact that Nathan is barely on his own in this game. Pretty much every single level has him with someone, helping him out, solving the puzzles, chatting to him when they're just walking, or chatting to him while they're solving a puzzle, chatting to them while they're shooting bad guys. They do it all. It's really refreshing because one of the big problems with Uncharted 3, at least in my opinion, is that Nathan spends so much time on his own. And it really helps the pacing because the characters are always interacting, they're always doing something, and there's always something to talk about, which always keeps the viewer interested. And also, saying that, every single level in this game is different. Every single one. Yes, there's always the callbacks, you know, the climbing mission, the shooting mission, the solving puzzle mission. Like, there's always those kind of things. But every single chapter of this game is totally different, and the pacing of each one is different, and it keeps changing to the point where you just can't help but remain invested from start to finish. And with such a fantastic list of established characters and such a fresh crop of new characters, it's so easy to get completely lost in what is also the best looking game I've ever seen. And I'm not talking about, you know, it looks like real people. I'm saying when it comes to sets and it comes to the backgrounds and the areas with which you're exploring, nothing comes close. The characters, the way their faces have been rendered, you can see every little crinkle around the eyes, you know. Like that one. Every little wrinkle on the eyes, every little blemish on the skin, it's shown. The eyes, the way everyone looks at each other, the facial expressions, the hair, the clothing, the way their throats move when they talk. Everything is so realistic. It feels like a real live action movie, and the graphics cannot be topped. And obviously now that I've said that, I'm very much looking forward to Naughty Dog's next outing. You know, the one where they have better graphics. And also the brand new gameplay features are so good. There's so many additional things now that you can do. The new vehicle mechanic where you're driving around through the landscapes. It adds so much scale to the levels. There's a level in this game where you're driving a 4x4 up a volcano. I did do a reaction video to this because they released it early, and I will put it down in the description box. But on this level, the driving, it really does add so much scale. Like, it feels like you are driving across a country. And also, because there are no loading screens, you just arrive after this huge long drive across this entire island, and then you're in a place where all these soldiers are, and you have a gunfight, and then you get back in the car and keep driving, and it's so seamless. And also, I will say, the cutscenes in the game have no loading time. You know how in the previous 3 games there'd be that little moment of black before a cutscene begins, and then a moment of black when the cutscene ends before you start playing again? Yeah, those don't exist anymore. The new rope mechanic is so much fun. The swinging, the way you can run, jump off a cliff, throw your rope onto a hook, and then swing round the side of a building to another area. It's so much fun, and you get this real sense of Nathan's weight when you're swinging, because sometimes the rope sort of creaks and sways in ways that you don't expect because your weight has to reorganize itself. It's a lot of fun, and it really shows how much Naughty Dog look into their games and go, right, how can we improve on the gameplay? How can we make it even more fun? And a lot of people might criticize the slower pace of some of the levels simply because it's taking more of a time to set up the story or the interactions between the characters. But I loved it because I thought The Last of Us was such a fantastic example of slow burn drama mixed in with occasional massive outbursts of action. Uncharted 4: A Thief's End is just an amplified Last of Us, you know. Because obviously Uncharted and all the Uncharted games are huge on their action, and believe me when I tell you, this game has action. And now we get on to the controversial part. The part no one wants to admit about Uncharted games. The little nitpicks. Okay, firstly, while I say the pacing of this game is absolutely outstanding, I will say a couple of the levels went on a little too long, or some sections of levels went on a little too long. There's a point really near the end where I was just thinking, right, I want to see this thing that they've been looking for. I want to see it. And we just keep climbing through this rock, and then under a rock, and then over a rock. Then we slide down something, and there's more rocks. And you climb over a rock, and then up a wall. And you're coming over the wall, and there's a slide down. And you slide down, and then there's a clearing, and then there's more rocks you have to climb. And it just keeps going, you know. It doesn't do this all the time. It's literally only a couple of occasions. It does not harm the investment in the story. It doesn't harm anything, but it's something worth noting. And secondly, some of the controls were a little strange. A couple of them, there was a thing where sometimes if you take cover, you don't actually take cover behind the exact thing that you want to take cover behind, but, you know, it happens anyway. That actually happened very little for me, but I know a lot of critics pointed it out, and I will point it out. It does happen, but for me, it literally happened like once or twice throughout the entire 13 hours of gameplay that I've done. And I admit, I'm a massive fan of Uncharted, so yes, there is an element of bias in my looking at Uncharted 4, because obviously I've got to know the characters, so naturally I see the development. While Uncharted 4 is the best paced of all 4 Uncharted games, it's not the best Uncharted game. That honour still goes to Uncharted 2, but that does not change the fact that, in my opinion, Uncharted 4, A Thief's End, definitely gets a 10 out of 10. But anyway guys, those are just my opinions on Uncharted 4, A Thief's End. What are your opinions? Put them down in the comment section below. Have you completed Uncharted 4? Are you halfway through Uncharted 4? Are you about to start Uncharted 4? What are your current thoughts on Uncharted 4? Please keep it spoiler free, because otherwise I will hunt you down and stare at you intensely for a moment. Because that's what I do. But anyway, if you like what you've seen here and you like my review, please hit the like button, share, subscribe, whatever you like. And if you didn't like the review, well, I don't care, because I absolutely loved Uncharted 4. And if you don't go out and get it, you are seriously missing out. And if you haven't played it before, buy the remasters, play them first, and then you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. I'm the IMO Critic, and I'll be back again with something else new for you, and I'll see you later.